I got one word for everyone this morning, and that word is Twitter! Twitter! That's right, the day we've all been waiting for, the day all your family, relatives, friends have been waiting for. Twitter will officially go public. It will be trading on the NYSE, ticker Tango Whiskey Tango Romeo, TWTR. Last night, the company sold 70 million shares, priced at $26 per share, raising just over 1.8 billion. The IPO, according to the NYSE, is expected to open for trade around 10:15 or 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll be standing by, giving the updates as they come. Anyways, today's Thursday, November 7th, 2013. S&P futures trading up about 7 points to 1773. Dow Jones Industrial Average trading up about 80 points to 15,762. And the Nasdaq is trading up about 7 points to 3,383. Crude oil recently trading at 95.23 per barrel. That is up about 15 cents. Gold last trading at 13.20.60 per ounce. If anyone has any questions throughout the course of the show, please post in the chat. If you have any issues, if you have any stocks, any options, anything like that that you're looking at that you would like the boys to take a look at, please don't hesitate. Throw those questions in there. You can actually throw a question or you can just throw a ticker in there. We'll know what you mean. On today will be entrepreneur and angel investor Andy Swan. He will be talking about some potential investment opportunities. Stay tuned for that interview around 8:40. I said it yesterday. I said it the day before. I'm going to say it again. We have a very special show tomorrow. We're going to have not one, but two guests on the show tomorrow. Right around 8:20, we'll have Forex Live's Adam Button. We will be breaking the jobs data with Adam on the line. We'll be doing a quick analysis of those numbers with Adam. Also, a little bit later, we'll be hosting Matt Porzio, VP of Marketing at Intralinks. Couple of important earnings that hit last night. We had Activision Blizzard reporting results, Mondelez, Transocean shares are up about 4% at last check. Solar City, a big loser this morning, down nearly 9% following results. And the big winner on the earnings front, at least, American Eagle, that stock's trading up about 13% on some solid results. Earnings this morning, we had Tim Hortons, we had Wendy's, we also had Monster Worldwide. Heads up for the earnings traders, after the close tonight, we will have Groupon and Priceline results. Priceline will likely be moving some of those other travel names, TripAdvisor, Orbitz Worldwide. I did note that futures were trading higher earlier. Most of that upside came just around 7:45 as the ECB unexpectedly lowered interest rates, their benchmark interest rate from 0.5% to 0.25%. This is a record low. Stocks did spike, as did crude and oil, right around 7:45 when that unexpected release came out. This morning, we're getting same-store sales figures from the nation's retailers. Just recently, about 6 or 7 minutes ago, we had JCPenney issuing same-store sales, also giving an update on the turnaround, the progress of their turnaround. Also this morning, Limited, that's L Brands, Costco, and The Buckle reporting same-store sales. L Brands did say they expect their Q4 earnings per share to be at the high end of the range. Shares of L Brands ticking higher on that. Shares of Tesla trading down this morning, right around 4%. See a last trade around 145. There was reports of a rumor of another Tesla fire. Check the Benzinga Pro feed for that image that sparked that rumor and consequently sent shares of Tesla moving about 4% lower this morning. One more quick news item before we jump into the show. Shares of Nation Star Financial reported earnings and announced last night that they will be selling its wholesale distributed retail origination channel and closing some locations and also cutting jobs. Shares of Nation Star trading down to 42.37. It's down about 13, 14, 15% or so. At 8:30 this morning, we will have initial jobless claims and the latest reading on GDP. We will be breaking into the show with that data. Stay tuned for that. Tomorrow, we will get figures on payrolls in the non-farm sector and the private sector. Estimates there still not moving. Economists looking for a non-farm reading of 120,000 and a private sector reading of 125,000. But let's start the fun. Let's start the pre-market info. Joel, what do you think of the old Twitter IPO? Let's hear your take.
Well, I have to be honest with you. I really can't describe how I feel about this in less than 140 characters.
Oh,
Oh
he'll
man.
be here all week, folks.
Ouch, ouch, ouch.
You didn't like that
um,
one, Joe?
I stayed up all night thinking of that one. Anyway,
See, Joel was
And it
our
was worth it.
resident stand-up comedian, right? Without him, without his day job, Joel wouldn't have anything to joke about.
I we're just gonna have to see. I thought it priced a little bit on the lower end. I believe you and somewhere else were tied in the office pool.
I
Uh,
forgot to mention that. I won. I'm the winner.
uh,
Well, part one of three. Let's be fair. We still got the open and the close price.
Yeah,
So
the winning is a self-proclamation. Full disclosure to our audience.
So we'll see how it opens. Could be tremendous volume here. We'll see what kind of range where we get. It's going to be all over the place. Maybe we'll pop on the airways here when it actually goes live and give a little bit of commentary.
Yeah, sure, why not?
But everyone's been waiting for it. It should be exciting here, and as long as I can guarantee this one thing about the Twitter IPO, it's going to go better than the Facebook IPO did for Nasdaq. The New York Stock Exchange is going to handle the order flow. They're prepared, and so we won't have the snafus that we did. But certainly a big day on the street. Jake, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty well, Joel. I think I got to agree with you. I think that Twitter IPO is going to go a lot better. I mean, they've really have been trying to keep that pricing low despite the amount of demand from the institutional investors. Now, it has been kind of interesting when I've heard that a lot of institutional investors are diving into this one because they want to be a part of Alibaba when it IPOs. So I think that's kind of ironic what happens when you have so many people subscribing or so many funds subscribing just so they can get into Alibaba when it IPOs. I don't really know how I feel about that, but nonetheless, it is generating a ton of demand, and pricing at $26 a share around 7 p.m. last night. It's going to be a big open, I think.
What about Charlie Gasparino's tweet or something that the demand's going to drive it up to like $80? Brent, did you
Oh, I'm glad you've seen that, Joel.
pull that off the wires here? I don't think it's quite going to get that high, but it's an exciting day on Wall Street. But we got other things going on. The ECB is lowering rates.
They sure are. They are making moves. They caused that market spike right around, was that right about 7:45 is when they decided to lower rates. They cut their benchmark interest rate to the lowest in recent history. So that ECB meeting was actually expected to lower rates. There's been a huge call for it recently, but it definitely seems to have at least taken the market partially by surprise with that nice spike upwards. So keep an eye on the macro headlines. We're probably going to get some more comments out of the ECB there, but that rate cut is definitely huge.
Can you guys believe that there's still easing happening out there in the world? Am I the only one that thinks that's crazy?
It's never going to stop. It's never going to stop. S&Ps, we got a number on the upside, really only one number. 73 quarter was the all-time high in the issue. The spike on that news took it to 74.50. So you're looking at a new all-time high in the index here. It's 74 and a half. We'll just keep an eye on that level until we go into the open. But 74 and a half pre-market high.
And actually, Jake, just to follow up on what you said, the ECB's Draghi will be holding a press conference related to that rate cut at 8:30. So we definitely will see some comments coming through from Draghi right around that time.
Yeah, Brent, just busting with comments when you get those because I think there's
Alrighty.
probably going to be some good stuff from that. We also have some other macro news today. Brent, I'm not sure if you went over this or not, but we do have GDP coming in at 9:30 today. So we're gonna have initial jobless claims. We're having AC. We had that ECB rate decision, and we've got GDP. So definitely a very big macro trading day. And then obviously tomorrow we're following it up with the jobs data. So we get a couple of days here that are very macro focused. Despite this being Thursday, the heaviest earnings day of the week, so we're actually going to be getting a large volume of earnings as well. Like Brent said, we have Priceline and Groupon after the close. This morning we had Cablevision, Stratasys, Visteon, Tim Hortons, Monster Worldwide, and Wendy's are some of the bigger names. So we've got a lot to go over on the show. So GDP data, what are we expecting here? I'm going to grab some estimates. It looks like the consensus is
I gotcha.
1.9% growth, right? Does that sound right?
I see 2% right now.
And then the prior was 2.5%, correct? This is quarter over
Correct.
quarter number. All right.
Correct.
All right. So we'll keep an eye out for that. We also do have that Tesla move, Joel. If you want to pull up that chart, it might be a good time to dive into Tesla here. After having a rough day of trading yesterday, dropping from a high of 181.97 in post-market trading on Wednesday. What was the low yesterday? I'm looking at a low of like 150 something, and now we've just, or oh no, I guess the low yesterday was 146.03. Now we're even below that at 144.17. Has the bottom fallen out here? Where do we stop in? Because Tesla, as we know, is a total momentum trade, and when momentum goes one way or another way, that's theoretically the direction it's going to go. We don't necessarily have more news to buoy it. Other than Elon Musk coming out and saying he's cured cancer using a Tesla. What can happen here? Are we just going to see this continued downtrend? Do we have any support in the near future?
Let's take a look at the pre-market trading. The rumors of another fire has sparked a sell-off in the shares again. It's one of these scenarios when everything on the upside they came out good. Any kind of news was good news. They bought it out. Now we'll put it anything that's coming out. Obviously, this is bad news, so it's going to be you have the reverse effect here. Just looking at it technically, you did hit 144.17 in the pre-market. You are getting a little bit of a bounce off that level. On the dailies, you hit 146.35 yesterday, so that's where you're trading right now. That's your swing number. You did get a good bounce from that level. Now, we had talked about, under this 160 level, and just looking at the chart, there just wasn't a lot in there to support this thing under 160. You are now perhaps could be moving down to the 141, 142 area. You did have some daily lows. You had a daily low at 142.83 on August 19th, and another one at 40.97. So these whole numbers. I know they're we repeat a lot of the half and whole numbers on the show, but I say next off for this thing that where they'll carve out some people is 140.
Yeah, definitely something to watch there, especially at the open. We got volume really picking up on that one. Bounce off that 144.17 up as high. I guess the most recent trade is 146.08, but a lot of movement in that. So definitely going to be interesting to watch on today's session, especially with the macro trade going on. It could just kind of get kicked around with the indexes themselves. We also have. And it's not just a macro day, but we also have a lot of retail sales coming in, specifically the same store sales. We had let's see who report. We got limited brands came in with their October same store sales growth of 8% this month. Analysts were looking for 2.5. So that's Lima Tango Delta there. Definitely want to take a look at. They just absolutely crushed it. They're very thin trading this morning. I see a high of 64.30. Most recent trade was 63.59, but it looks like it's been, as far as just a general chart in the last 20 or so sessions, it's been on a general uptrend at that low of being 54.73, so up almost $10 over that period of sessions. Joel, what do you think of this one? Obviously, some good fundamental news. Very thin volume this morning, though.
Pop up to 64.30 here in the pre-market. Now you've pulled back 50 shares have traded, so a decent amount of volume. Since hitting that 64.60 level, you have pulled back to 63.59. Not a lot of trading going. let's look at this in the context of the daily chart. This is one of your retailers that hasn't been getting beat up as much as some of the other ones. You are busting above the the major resistance that you had at the $63 level. You've been made multiple highs at 63. Well, you got the 63.52 yesterday, so that's been the recent high of the move. We ticked above that in the pre-market. I would still look at that as a minor resistance level. Coming back, if you do get a sell-off off the open, keep an eye on that close at 63.03. That should provide good support.
Now, Brent, feel free to hop in anytime. I know we do have a lot of those retail sales going on this morning. Who else are we looking at that dropped retail sales on us this morning? I guess it's all same store sales, correct?
Yep, same store sales. That is sales comparable for an actual retail location open more than a year. We just had J.C. Penney cross. Definitely like to have Joel take a look at this one. J.C. Penney. Let me pull up the report here really quick. They reported 0.9% growth in October same store sales. I don't see an estimate there, but I do see that this is actually the first same store sales gain from JCPenney in, are you ready for this? 2 years.
Wow. I mean, I guess in any case, if I heard a JCPenney reporting growth, I think that would be semi-bullish at least. Joel, maybe we should
Fair
pull up
enough.
this issue and have a
I,
look.
I, I heard that they doubled it. That two people went into the store.
Wow. Now, did one of them buy or did both of them buy? That's the question, right?
Folks got carried away here on the spike up here pre-market. Got to 820 here. We pulled back to the 804 level. I was just discussing this chart with Joe yesterday, and I just noticed that it was trying to knock on the door at $9. Had a high at 871 and 859, and then all of a sudden this thing was back under $8. So once it lost the momentum from the 870 level, they took it right back down under the $8 level. Pretty good decline here. Settled just off the low at 763. Settled at 770. So if we do sneak back under the $8 level, that's going to be your support, 763 to 770. And I was also doing a little bit of a calculation here to determine if really this is the move of J.C. Penney, and J.C. Penney is going to survive. And you guys want to know what the key is here?
Hit me.
Lay it on us.
Hit us.
He's got to hold 740. It's got to hold 740. I'd like to follow 50% retracements. You had to move up from 624. You made a high at 871, so you had like a buck 50 move. You had you add 70 some cents onto that, and your 50% retracement comes in right at 740. So as long as J.C. Penney is holding that level here, still good to go to the upside. Below 740, I expect it to go back down and take out the lows in the move.
And in that release, JCPenney did say that they're expecting the holiday season to be, quote, extremely competitive. So it didn't seem, despite that growth in the same store sales, the tone of the release seemed a little concerning. However, you're getting what appears to be a relief rally in the name today.
Right, I can remember this is when I was trading with some buddies when the news of Ron Johnson came out and hit the wires that the Apple guy was coming in to take over the retail operations. Can't remember going back longer term on this, and the stock automatically, as I'm not exaggerating, went up like $5-6. Maybe if I can find it here on the monthly. And I'm just thinking to myself, really? Just hiring this one guy is going to do this much for the stock? So I guess that would have been one theory I would have wanted to put into play here. I believe it was going back in I think it was this little move up here is when they hired Ronnie Johnson, took the stock to $40, and you all know what he did to the company. So a lot of times those instant reactions are sometimes the ones to fade.
The knee jerk.
You're correct. Correct. What
Another
an
one something we want to watch for on JCPenney today too is with those increase in same store sales. I wouldn't be shocked if we got some analysts hopping in on this one, weighing in, saying, "All right, we're moving it to a neutral and giving it a $9 price target or something like that, just so that they can manage to get their names back on the wire." I don't expect Sazio will be doing that, to be quite honest. I think he'll probably continue telling the story he's been telling since long before the fall. But we'll have to follow up with him and see what he says on that one too.
Yeah, just one note for you, JC penny traders here. You're going to come up on the upside here. You're going to find initial resistance at the 835 level, but JC Penney's trading 1 million shares here in the pre-market, so it's I know it does quite a bit daily volume, but definitely some players out there. Just once again, the pre-market high for JC Penney traders has been 820.
Another one we want to take a look at is American Eagle Outfitters. Another one of those teen retailers. I know we were talking about them yesterday morning with some of those poor numbers from one of their peers that really dragged the sector down. Well, last night we had earnings from American Eagle. They reported it was 19 cents versus 15-cent estimates. Now, if you remember this, it was guidance from Abercrombie and Fitch that really kind of scared investors away from the sector, saying that they're having trouble with the teen sector. Well, it looks like American Eagle isn't exactly showing that, and we're also seeing even some analysts hopping in on this one with American Eagle getting upgraded from a hold to a buy by Breen Capital, giving them a $20 price target. Shares are at 16.40 right now. Joel, we're seeing a lot of strength this morning. I guess it's up almost $3 from the low in the post-market trading yesterday. What do you think of this one? Another one of those teen retailers.
As Dennis would say, the news algos really missed it on both sides here. The initial spike took it under $14, 13.80, and then in the same bracket you went to 17.50. So nice 3.5 point move. Since hitting that 17.50 level, though, things have come back in a little bit more of a reality here, trading at 16.49, up a buck 84. So those pre-market levels should be a little tough to reach. It's interesting when you look at that 1750 level. You had a high at 1762 on August 6th, and that was part of the big gap down day that from the August 5th when obviously they released maybe last quarter's earnings or some bad news here. So it did work that way back up into that gap area.
Hey Joel, let me break in with the 8:30 data here.
Okay.
We have GDP advanced reading for Q3 coming in at up 2.8%. Economists were looking for just 2% growth. Also have initial jobless claims just out for the month, or excuse me, for the week ended November 2nd, coming in at 336,000. Economists were looking for 335,000, a little higher than expected. Also, continuing claims for the week ended October 26th, coming in at 2.868 million. Economists were looking for around 2.875 million.
Taking us down a little bit here from those lofty heights of 1774.50. Folks that were selling the former all-time high at 1773 and a quarter. You got a little bit of a lead here, a little bit of a dip below the 1770 level, but popping right back up. What did you say that number was? It was 2 point.
You looking for GDP?
Yeah.
GDP was growth of 2.8%. That's about 8 tenths better than the street was looking for. Remember, this is the first reading for Q3, so we will get a second reading and we will get a final reading in months to follow.
Okay. Okay, well, a little bit better there in the GDP. Let's just going back to the American Eagle Outfitters here. That stock did have a major resistance at the 1570 level, going back 6-7 trading sessions ago. So if you're looking for this on a pullback, that would be your initial level of support, and you got another 70 cents to go down to fill the gap from yesterday's high at 1503.
It's kind of interesting to see the pullback from the GDP, even though it beat. I'm looking at some of the commodities actually here, rather than the indexes. We had a crank upwards on that ECB interest rate decision, and ever since then they've been selling off. I don't know if you want to take a look, if you want to pull up something like copper, because copper spiked. Let's see what it's low at about 748 was 323. We saw a high as much as 325.7 this morning. So huge spike up. It has given up almost all of those gains. So just copper is all over the place. Also seeing some movement in gold and silver. Not as crazy in those two, but copper definitely getting traded around a ton here. Joel, I don't know if you follow copper a whole lot, but I just thought that chart looked really interesting.
Yeah, do follow it a little bit. I'd like to post some updates in Benzinga Pro covering the commodities here. You did get that spike up. Copper, you have some major support coming in a couple pennies away from here at the 321, 322 level. So a little bit of ways away from support. But what I do follow more closely is the gold market. Gold has had, I believe, 4 days of consolidation here. Gold's coming onto a big support point here, folks. 1305.20 has been the low, has been the low of the move. We just got to 0580. We did have some consolidation in gold for quite a while. The last couple trading sessions, you traded within a 20 or excuse me, within about a 22 buck range in his gold. So often does. It breaks out of the consolidation period, and now it's leaning heavy on that support at 1305.20. Probably going to take it out here in a second. Just take the 0510. This if this area here doesn't hold, I expect gold to be trading back under $1,300 today.
Jumping into some of the earnings reports here, though, moving more to the micro side, we did have Stratasys reporting. That's Sandy Yankee Sandy. This is one of the big 3D printing names. Gonna pull up that chart there. Company reported EPS of 45 cents, which expected 42 cents, while the revenues came in at 126.1 million, beating estimates of 117.13 million. So seeing some strength here. Interestingly enough, yesterday Breen Capital upgrade or maintained its buy on the company, but raised the price target to 135 bucks. So an analyst sticking their neck out there and actually getting rewarded for it. Joel, what do you think of this chart? Company beats, and things are looking pretty stellar for Stratasys recently.
Very interesting chart here on the dailies. Kind of a reversal day. Opened up at 120 and then just sold off all day here. 113.04. Closed at 114.35. But look at that. Look where we're trading up to in the pre-market. Gold under 1,300 now, folks. Did take out that major support here. A little bit of a free fall here in the gold. Some gold bugs here getting squashed on this news of the GDP as well as the lower of interest rates. So gold's in retreat mode here, folks. Just going back to the SSYS, boom, we're right back up at this 120 level, 120 and a quarter, the all-time high, just ticked up to 1958. So getting back those $6 in a hurry here. I expect that 120 level to act as resistance.
Now, when we're looking at 3D printing names like Stratasys, we got to pull in other ones. Triple D, which is 3D Systems, DDD. Got to take a
Ah,
look
I
at
thought you were
that.
gonna say Dennis Dick.
Well, unfortunately, he's not on the show with us today, or else we check him out. But we've got 3D Systems
That one took about, I don't know, 4 or 5 seconds for me to process.
delayed.
We'll delete that. Joe, you got the delete button on that one.
Yeah, we'll delete Jake thinking about Dennis's strong biceps from the show. Don't worry about it.
It's
Oh.
happening. All right, go on
Oh.
with the show quickly.
All right, 3D Systems is trading up this morning to 71.40. Shares closed around 69.50 yesterday. Joel, anything on this chart? This is another one of those charts that's just been, kind of creeping upwards. Since 50 bucks, just kind of solidly on the rise. Over across the year, it's been up from 24.35 is the low I'm seeing on my yearly chart. I mean, this is just a wild rally.
Right, 71.34 was the high that you had from yesterday. Pre-market, you have kissed that level going up to 71.40 here. So we'll keep an eye on that as resistance. But as Dennis would say, this is a Momo stock with more momentum here and busting out the new all-time high. So congratulations to the shareholders of this stock. It's just had an amazing run, really since November when it was trading under $60.
Gold did just bounce over 1,300, Joel. I'm watching crude also. Crude's down to $94. Holy cow.
Right, just wanted to mention we did skip over the crude here. I had a creeper rally over the last two sessions. Just was the thing I was noticing that 95.40 was yesterday's high, only got to 95.31, and obviously this economic data here is pushing the contract lower. If you're looking for support in the crude market, you need to go back and take a look at yesterday's low. Wednesday's low, 93.65, will be your next major support level.
Hopping back on the 3D printing bandwagon real quick, we do want to check out X1 this morning. That's X-Ray Oscar November Echo. It's another big name in the 3D printing space, and it's barely moved on that Stratasys report. So keep an eye on that. We are seeing the strength in 3D systems, and obviously Stratasys since they reported. But X1 has not quite moved yet, so that could be an interesting pure play to watch at the open. I'm only seeing one or two trades across the board right now. Joel, I don't know if we've got any technicals on this one. Actually, it's kind of shown some strength the last couple of days, minus yesterday's session.
Yeah, this one's been a little bit more of a laggard. Got a little carried away getting over the $75 level. Not too long ago, going back to August, way over 75, got to almost 79, 78, 80, and then you just had this sell off down under the $45 level. So it looks like we have a little ways to go to get to the 50% retracement of this move. I would just alert our traders here yesterday's high, which we haven't taken out at 60.99. In fact, we're still $2 away from there. That's your first resistance point. After you get above here, 60.99, things really open up even on the daily chart to 63.40.
All right, boys. I do have some of those comments from Draghi. If you're a forex trader out there, you're going to be loving these comments. Comments have foreign exchanges moving around, a bunch of currencies on the move here. ECB's Draghi saying that euro area may face prolonged period of low inflation, expecting rates to be at present levels or lower for an extended period. That is a bit of a concerning comment. Draghi saying that the ECB is ready to consider all available instruments, and also saying that he sees downside risk to the economic outlook. Those are not exactly the best comments.
Okay, comments there from Mr. Draghi.
Moving on, more back on the micro side, we did have Monster Worldwide reporting this morning. Going to pull them up. That's Mike Whiskey Whiskey. So keep an eye on this issue. Going to get those earnings up for you guys real quick. This is a decent report here. Comes in line at 8 cents. This is for the third quarter. So 8 cents matching analyst estimates. And what are let's get with the let's get the chart going here and see what it's doing. Not a whole lot of action, to be quite honest. I mean, it incredibly flat yesterday. Not even really seeing any trades this morning. I guess there's like what, two trades on the wire there. Joel, do you see anything going on here?
Not a lot here trading here in the pre-market. A little bit of a spike down to 430 in change, but this is an interesting daily chart here. I mean, multiple highs here, 5, 6 highs between 438 and 447 here. We haven't taken that level out. You get above that 47. Things just been real tight here, forming a base for the last couple months. So doesn't look like there's going to be enough news to get this thing back up over 460. You did have a 462 high on September 26th, so that would be your next resistance level.
Now, since we're nearing 9 a.m., I'm already getting pretty hungry, so I figured we'd dive into the Wendy's earnings report, talk about the burger trade a little
Did
bit.
someone say lunch?
Oh, man, I could go for it.
I could go for some chili right now, actually.
I bet you could, Joe.
Uh, Now, weren't the Wendy's numbers, weren't they good? I thought
Yeah,
that.
EPS came in at 8 cents versus 6 cent estimate, so nice beat there. We're also even seeing a Deutsche Bank hold rating with a price target bump from $7 to $8. Not seeing any guidance. Must be something kind of going on in the
They
conference call
they
there.
did actually guide, and it was strong, believe it or not. Company expecting fiscal year adjusted EPS around 25 cents. They had previously guided in the range of 20 to 22 cents, and analysts currently around 23, 24 cents. So the guidance did look strong.
And the street is not taking that the way we are construing that news here. You got a spike all the way down to 790 in the pre-market, bouncing up to 840, 850 here. So not seeing in the report what we're seeing in the market. 135,000 shares have traded. Needed to get back into yesterday's range. You had a low at 909, so we might just have to dig a little bit more into that report to see what traders are looking at. Did have a Wendy's burger, I believe, a couple months ago when I was on the road, and it wasn't that good. So I'll be downgrading Wendy's to not eat on my next road trip.
I know you guys wanted to cover a couple of ratings, but I did want to address a question that JH3 had. JH3, if you're listening, you said, how about revisiting the seasonality topic in the end of the year context? I wasn't sure if you meant seasonality as it applies to the holiday shopping season or as to window dressing. I don't know if you want to tackle either of those topics, Joel.
I think I'll leave that to you.
Okay. Oh, I guess we should wait for JH3's response here. We do have. Is it time for the guest? Is it time for Andy?
I think we can bring Andy on now.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break and bring on Andy Swan, entrepreneur and angel investor here, to get his take on the Twitter IPO and get his take on the market in general. We'll be right back. Welcome back, traders and investors. This is Joel Alconin from Benzinga Pre-Market Info, and we have a special guest on today, Andy Swan, entrepreneur and angel investor. Andy, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks.
Okay, so we first got to take care of some business here. Joe told me you're from Louisville. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Okay.
I'm here right now.
Okay, but I am a big Kentucky Derby fan. But are you a Louisville Cardinal fan?
Yeah, I'm a pretty good Louisville Cardinal fan, but I'm not one of the crazy ones that has to hate, Kentucky and everyone else around.
Okay, because I ran into a few of those haters when I was down at the Final Four back in April, and I guess it was similar to my experience at the Michigan State game where Michigan lost, so it was probably a good thing because I didn't get beat up by some of those rowdy fans. But glad you're not on that side of the equation here, so I won't give you a hard time. time. But just starting out, could you just give us your brief educational and markets background?
Sure. So, I actually started trading when I was in college. I didn't. I was in my final year playing basketball at Bellarmine University, and I didn't really have to take any classes because I was on my fifth year. I had redshirted, so I had like one class that I never went to, and so I started studying the markets just on my own. This was like '99 and 2000, so everything was going crazy. I mean, CNBC was probably one of the top watch channels. It was on, three channels at the gym. When you went to the gym, it was mania, and so I got interested in the market that way um, during my downtime in college. And then, it's kind of a cool story. I was in, back then AOL chat rooms and stuff like that were pretty popular, and so I was in these chat rooms all the time, every day, and actually had one or two guys that summer actually private messaged me on AOL and said, "Hey, you're doing really well. If I send you money, can you send me your trades as you make them?" And light kind of went off. I was going to law school in Boston within a little while, and I didn't really want to do that. So yeah, I says, "Yeah, send me the money." They sent me like $750, which more than covered our rent, and that's sort of how I got started with trading somewhat professionally. And so I went to law school, dropped out in about 6 or 7 weeks, and we started day trade team. Me and my brother Wayne started day trade team where people could, we made it a little more formal where people could pay us to follow our picks and stuff like that. So that's really how I got started. It's purely self-taught stuff, and it's been a good ride over the last 14 or 15 years.
That's interesting. So you had initial success then. I mean, because I wanted to talk to you about the learning curve and whatnot. So you didn't. I know from my initial when I went out from a desk trader to a prop trader. I had a little bit of period of of scratching a little bit in the red here before I got green. So you had the initial success then.
Yeah, but it's not because I was smart. It's because the
Hmm.
market was set up for that. I mean, this was 99, 2000. Everything went up every day. Really, I mean, you could have been brain dead and made a lot of money. And that's exactly what I was. I had no idea really what I was doing when I look back on it. And that showed a year later. I mean, I was losing hand over fist every single day. And because the market was going down and I wasn't used to that. And so I have more than paid for my education.
Right. So now, obviously, experience both up markets and down markets here. You're comfortable in trading both sides of the market. Then, right? You're trying to be non-biased and are as willing to be long the market as short the market, because I think that's what a lot of traders run into. A lot of day traders is they become opinionated, and so you're comfortable trading both sides of the market. Then, correct?
Yeah, yeah, I really am. As long as things are moving, and then even if they're not, there's always with the addition of option spread trading into my arsenal probably 6 or 7 years ago, that really transformed me into someone that can just sort of take what the market is giving and take advantage of that without really injecting your own biases or opinions into the market, which is what I think just kills so many traders.
And just going into that option spread trading, I mean, obviously, if you take a direction there, you're taking advantage of you're obviously long the premium in one instance and short the premium in the other. So you have a little bit of a hedge on, you have a little bit of time decay working on one side for you. So that's definitely a way to take advantage of the markets as well. Uh, Changes in the day trading industry. You mentioned, you got started in the heyday when the markets were going straight up and had a little problems when the markets were going straight down. Can you just talk a little about, the changes in the day trading industry and maybe get a little bit, have the high frequency trading and high frequency trading balance, have they caused you to adjust your style at all?
Oh yeah, I mean, so 14 or 15 years ago, it was an advantage if you had level two quotes. I mean, that was a huge advantage that you had over the rest of market participants. And now, they're paying, whatever it is, hundreds of millions of dollars to lay cable for, a 6 millisecond advantage that you just quite simply cannot match. And so I don't. I think that there's, now day trading wise, extremely short term trading. There's a negative edge to be overcome, which I don't generally like to participate in. I'm not one of these guys that thinks I can beat the blackjack table. So I've actually moved away from short turnaround trading and moved much more towards not long term but middle term stuff, and using these option spreads where there's still some edge and things like that. But I think the change has been dramatic. 14 years ago, stuff was moving in increments of eighths of a dollar, and you could see that eighth of a dollar move before it moved. And now that's not there. And so on the other side of it, commissions have dropped, and there's a lot of lower fee type of structures that make it better, but it's really tough. So I have really shied away from day trading personally, and I really just don't advise people, especially new people getting into the market, to get into that because, like I said, it's so tough to check your opinion and emotion at the door. In the short term like that, I kind of like to let my trades breathe a little bit more.
The one thing about the tape reading, I mean, that used to be one advantage that you had with the level two quotes. You could identify buyers and sellers, and then once they were mopped up, you could still participate in those prints. But now it seems with all the 100 share prints going off, I remember the only time a stock went 100 up on the quote, back 10, 15 years ago was when there was a market meltdown or there was major news coming out on the company, and now 100 by 100 is the standard quote, basically what you see, especially in some of these higher priced stocks. So, one thing that you see with the tape going off, you see a lot of these sub penny prints, and the internalizers just making small increments off each of these orders. And one of the reasons that they went to the pennies from the well, it was eighths and they went to sixteenths was to really benefit the small investor. Do you think that's really? Do you think the penny prints and sub penny prints have really benefited the small investor?
Actually, I do. I think anytime, pricing, the more exact the pricing, the better it is for all market participants. I think that it has definitely been to the detriment of the small active day trader. No question, because it just made it that much more impossible to compete with a computer. But the for the overall marketplace, I think it's been definitely a net positive. There's a lot more liquidity because those things trickle up. I mean, it's sub penny in Microsoft or Google sometimes, but that also means that for less liquid stocks, you've got smaller spreads as well, because those high frequency computers and those algorithms are injecting liquidity for small investors, even on the most thinly traded stocks. It's market wide, and I think it's a net positive for the market.
Okay, well, Dennis, my partner's here is a CFA meeting, but we're gonna have to have you on again and have you go head to head with him as far as the smaller investor benefiting, because actually a lot of the spreads in these smaller stocks, I mean, there's not a lot of liquidity off the opens in them, and actually there has been some studies that showed that some of the spreads in some of these more illiquid stocks have increased. But he's the expert on that, so I'll take a pass on that, and we'll just move on here. Now, you said that you kind of got away from the day trading, and you're more of using the options market. So what time are you looking at? Much longer time horizons now with the options markets? Are you using the option markets for 1, 2, or 5 day moves, or have you now adopted your trading style to be more longer term?
Both really. I mean, we do a pretty good job with with very short-term trades around earnings season. I think there's always a well, not always, but most of the time there is an edge in trying to capture time decay, premium decay surrounding earnings moves, and you got to have a pretty strong stomach, but it works a lot. And so that can be a 1 day or 2 day trade. Um, Nick Fenton at Ticker Tank is actually shares an office space with us, and he does a fantastic job of sort of alerting us to the opportunities in that. But then uh, outside of earnings season, I typically try to look for uh, trading strategies of 15 to 45 day type of periods where um, usually what I try to do is find stocks that are overextended one direction or the other, and where I believe that the options are pricing for a continuation of that overextended move, go out a few strikes and start selling some calls or some puts, whatever the case may be, and look for a pullback to buy those spreads back into. And so sometimes that can take 5 days, sometimes it can take 30 days. I try to be at least one month beyond the current strike or the current expiration cycle. So give myself some time for trades to come into me, because anytime you're, as you know, the one of the hardest lessons to learn for traders, especially contrarian traders, is that you can be right, but a lot of times it can take a long time to get there. And if you're too leveraged or too close to expiration, you're right at the wrong time. So for me, it's pretty contrarian plays, but with a longer term sort of time horizon, and definitely less leverage than younger Andy Swan might have employed.
Right, the market can remain irrational much longer than you can remain solvent. Is a
Yeah.
saying that I like to use a trader. So you're looking at the whole universe of stocks, and you're looking for stocks that fit your technical criteria as far as overextended moves. So you're really scanning like the entire universe of stocks. You don't have a steady staple of stocks that you follow on a daily, weekly, monthly basis that you look for setups in. You pretty much do you have a scanner, or how do you find your potential trades?
So I do have a stable of stocks that I watch. It's probably the same as everyone else's, Google, Apple, these types. But I also look for stocks that maybe I've never really heard of or never paid attention to. Like a good example, probably the last month or two, you've started hearing so much about Tesla. So stocks that come to the mainstream financial news headlines. So, I'll just watch Yahoo Finance, to be honest, and look for names that I haven't heard in a while, and that's kind of an indication to me that it's worth looking at for potentially overextended move. And it's kind of that, once the bear's on the cover of Newsweek kind of theory, then things might be going the wrong way. And so it's a combination of looking at, this technical stuff and this data stuff, which I think is pretty tough to get an edge in because everybody has access to the same information. But then also just taking a step back from the market and looking at it a little more from, the average log in twice a day investor's point of view, and what kind of stocks might he be getting enticed into because of these headlines after the move is already over. I don't know if I
Oh, I'm sorry. You had
talked too
mentioned.
long there.
No, no,
Yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry about that. You talked about a couple things there. You talked about Tesla Motors, and
Yeah.
are you currently active in that issue?
Yeah, I'm actually looking after this big drop. I'm actually looking at starting to put some money into Tesla. I think that it's got tremendous upside. One of our companies is called like Folio, and we look for the enthusiasm behind the product or brand the company makes on social media channels, and the enthusiasm for Tesla products is out of control. It's amazing. It's like something you haven't seen since Netflix 4 years ago, and so um, Tesla to me is one where, yeah, it's overextended and everybody loves it, but it got beat up a little bit, and that's the type of situation where I like to get in on a positive brand that's currently being beat up, and so I'm looking to start stepping into that one for sure.
No, that's interesting. Okay, then you mentioned technicals here, and we like to talk a lot about technical analysis and pre-market info. I'm
Yep.
not a big MACD or RSI kind of guy. Pretty much daily, open, high, low, close, weekly highs and lows and stuff. What sort of strategies and technical analysis do you employ?
Well, I'm kind of with you. I don't think that there's any magic wand in there, or magic indicator. I think for me, it's really probably pretty bad advice for most. I just like to look at a chart and think to myself, you know, is this really possible that a company could be doing this in 1 month, 5 days, 1 day, whatever it is, and look for opportunities where I think it's obvious that momentum and excitement has overtaken rationality. So that's pretty much it. It's more just I don't look at the chart from a truly technical analysis perspective. I look at it from a historical map sort of perspective, and just kind of try to look for where the little guy has probably gotten off course.
All right, so let's just move on to the stock of the day, of the week, of the month here. The Twitter IPO. I don't know if you've been active in the private market at all in it, but priced at $26. Everyone's getting excited for the this thing to start trading. Are you delving into it? Are you hands off, or what's your feeling on this Twitter IPO today?
Yeah, I mean, I've probably got some exposure to Twitter through some of the startup funds that we're in, and so on. But so that disclaimer's out of the way.
Okay.
I like the company a lot. I think that there's enormous upside potential for Twitter, well beyond where the stock is being priced today. But then again, it's impossible to know a company like that. I just really believe it's impossible to know whether it's a $1.5 billion company or a $60 billion company. Like, that's the range that it could possibly be 1 year from now. And so for me, I'm going to let the institutions that are falling all over themselves to get into this kind of fight it out and establish a price and establish a trading range before I even think about trading it. I just don't think that there's any advantage here. I think that the advantage was gone, a year and a half ago, when people thought that all Twitter was tweeting out, what I had for breakfast. They didn't really see the real time advertising angle and this sort of stuff. And so, that edge is gone. And that's the only edge I really know. And so I have to just let other people price it, and then play in that game once it's established.
Right, I kind of did that with the Facebook IPO. I didn't, I not on Facebook, not a Facebook fan, but just the fervor, the people I know were involved in it. I was very bullish it off the IPO, and wrote a couple articles to that fact. Got a lot of egg on my face, as opposed to letting the dust settle off the IPO, and it actually did give some good entry points. I was able to use a few calls on the, once it bottomed around the 25. But being a short-term trader, I let them go a little bit too early. But now with the Twitter thing, I'm definitely going to be paying attention. I love when stocks start trading like this, because they're giving you the levels. There's going to be a high today, there's going to be a low today, and there's going to be a close. And you're right, it's going to establish a range. So I'm going to stay on, following the levels of that. let it establish a range. You have people, from the private market that want to cash out. So you're right. Let the dust settle. That it's excellent advice for our traders and investors. And we were having discussions on the desk about, where's the true value in the company. And Jake reiterated several times that, it's the data. It's the data. It's the data. And is that where you see the potential advertising revenue and the data that they're have the tabs on 250 million people at one time? Is that where the true value in the company is?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a company where I don't know of any other company where you could do this. This would be very interesting if it ever translated to television type of advertising. But this is a company where literally within, you know, 4 minutes you can place an ad uh, that is relevant to something that happened 10 minutes ago that everyone is talking about. And I don't know that that's ever really been done. And Twitter is the perfect mechanism to do that. And so it is the data, it's the share of mind that they have, and it's also just the concept of um, real time advertising that could have just major implications. But like I said before, I don't know if that's a $1.5 billion business or a $60 billion business. I really have no idea. I know it's a big idea, and they have a lot to execute to prove even current valuation. But that is the value. I think that's the value that we see. That's why we started this. The company that we just started called Likefolio is because we see extreme value in the data that people are putting onto Twitter voluntarily. It's just sort of like you get a window into the conversations and the topics that people are interested in immediately, and pretty much the NSA has been the only other organization that's had that kind of access for the last little while. So it's cool to level the playing field and figure out what people are talking about, when they're talking about it, and be able to reach them with an offer that adds value to their life. I think that's a big deal for Twitter, and it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. I think it's going to play out a little better than it would for a Facebook.
Right. I don't have the answer to this question. I'm not sure if you have the answer either. Maybe Jake or Brent or Joe can weigh in. But why'd they decide on 140 characters? Does anybody know the reason? Not 130, not 150.
Yeah, it's because the when the company started, it was purely SMS based, and the original limit for a SMS message was 160 characters, and so they limited your username to 20 characters and your content to 140 characters, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, good. Good. I got the answer for that. That's great. You mentioned Facebook there, and here's a stock that flopped off the IPO 38, went down to 17.55, and then you had this amazing run up to it hit 57.80 in pre-market trading. I believe the all-time high though is in the 54 range, and now it's just been pretty volatile here, vacillating around the $50 level. I'm not sure if are an owner or a shareholder in that stock here, but it's had a nice run here. You're having some consolidation off the earnings. It was good earnings. Do you have any opinion on Facebook?
I'm not a shareholder, and my opinion on Facebook sort of the same as it was on Twitter. It's because what I would do is I would let the Twitter dust settle before I start trying to price Facebook. I think there's going to be a lot of money moving both institutionally into both names, uh, or out of one and into the other. And until you start to see that trend, I just stay out of both. They're both swimming in the same water to me, and it's pretty shallow. So I wouldn't be diving in yet. It's just I think Facebook's an awesome company, and I think that the story is great, and the earnings are great, and the potential is amazing, just like Twitter. But I just let this other player's dust settle before starting to take any sort of big step on either name.
That's good advice. Just to close out the interview here, we started with talking about day trading and how you got involved in it, and but would you tell traders now or investors now if they wanted to get involved in short term trading? Are there any books to read or courses to take, or do you think it's just all about social media and following the social media for clues what's going on in trading?
Well, I think that it's just a combination of all the above. I mean, honestly, there's not a book that I would recommend. I think that if you're truly just getting started, there's some fantastic courses out there that Invest Tools and TD Ameritrade and all these brokers have for new traders. I think that those will get you going in the right direction. And then for me, the social media stuff, it it can be good, it can be bad. It's a double-edged sword, and I think that you've got to follow the right people. StockTwits is a great place to get involved because they do a pretty good job of showing you the names that have been around a while. But I think that at the end of the day, your success is going to be up to you, and you have to learn mostly to check emotion as soon as you open up your brokerage account, and you've got to learn how to take a loss. And once you do those two things, you'll probably be pretty well. Pretty well off. It's just a matter of how expensive are those lessons for you. And for everyone, it's different. Every personality type is different. And so keep your leverage small. Learn everything that you can, every sort of instrument that you can. Get started with those very low risk, defined risk option spreads as soon as you can. That kind of thing can really help you outlast the learning curve from a bankroll perspective, and just to expect for the first little while to be pretty rough, and then. I mean, I've been doing this for 15 years and I still have patches where it just absolutely is crushing and you lose a lot of money. And you have to be able to handle that. And if you can't, then you might as well you might as well do something else with your time and money that's going to bring you more joy. So find your time frame, find your instruments, and learn to take a hit without it messing you up mentally. That's
Right. That's excellent advice, and I hope that our traders and investors are hitting those words. Well, this is we've had Andy Swan here, entrepreneur and angel investor here, and he's given us an outlook on several issues here from Facebook, Tesla, the Twitter IPO, his penchant for following social media trends. Thanks a lot, Andy, for coming on, and we certainly hope you'll come on again as a guest.
cool. Love the show. You guys are doing a great job.
Okay, thank you, and have a good trading day. And we're going to turn things over here to Mighty Joe Young with a market update.
Well, thank you very much there, Joel, and thank you, Andy Swan, for coming on the show today. It was great to have you. Swell guy, don't you think? I think so. Moving on to today's headlines, Goldman Sachs and other underwriters on Twitter's initial public offering will share about $59.2 million for managing the sale after accepting one of the smallest fee rates for a U.S. IPO this year. The projection is based on the 3.25% of the 1.82 billion IPO that Twitter agreed to pay the banks managing the sale. People familiar with the matter said last month. The fee pool is typically split unevenly among underwriters, with larger shares going to banks that are more actively involved in the process. Pinterest going public is not the goal. When asked on Wednesday, CEO Ben Silbermann didn't rule it out completely, but said it wasn't the priority. He told a crowd while on stage at Fast Company's Innovation Uncensored conference. Silbermann said that the company wants to stand on its own 2 feet, and he didn't know if going public would help it retain and grow its user base. There are amazing public companies, Silbermann continued. I've never been in that transition, but we are a long way from that. We want to keep our company laser focused on our people using the service, and if they aren't, why not? Facebook debuts its new like and share buttons for websites. Today, we're introducing a new design for both like and share to help people share more great content across the web, said Ray He, a software engineer at Facebook. The like button no longer sports the company's famous cartoon thumbs up, but instead brandishes the Facebook lowercase f. Facebook has also made the logo a darker shade of blue, as well as changed its font. In addition, it is giving websites the option of lumping the like and share buttons together. Fannie Mae said its third quarter profit more than quadrupled, allowing it to pay taxpayers a $10.2 billion dividend. That means Fannie will repay nearly all of its $116.1 billion 2008 bailout by the end of this year. A rising housing market has put Fannie, which is still in conservatorship, back on its feet. Revenue climbed 11% to $6.32 billion. Fannie said it would pay the Treasury another $8.6 billion in December of this year, bringing its total payments to the taxpayers since Fannie returned to profitability to $105.3 billion. Michigan will receive $6.2 million to open 9 federally funded health center sites next year, U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius announced Wednesday. The money is part of the $11 billion included in the Federal Affordable Care Act to expand the nation's capacity to provide primary care, dental, and mental health services. About $2.2 billion of that total will be awarded across the country during 2014, including $150 million in grants announced on Wednesday. Grain Corp CEO says regulation can address ADM deal concerns. Competition concerns about Archer Daniel Midland Company's that's in Australian dollars, 3 billion Aussie dollars or 2.9 billion US dollars takeover of Grain Corp should be addressed by regulation, the Australian company said on Thursday as political tensions over the deal resurfaced. Australian Treasurer Joe Hockey last month extended the time period for a foreign investment decision on the bid, which is unpopular with the new coalition's government junior partner, the rural-based National Party. Internet rivals are teaming up to fight hackers by offering bounties or cash rewards to researchers who find critical vulnerabilities in widely used web technology. The program is sponsored by Facebook and Microsoft with assistance from Google security expert who helped develop the program and will sit on the panel that will evaluate submissions. The bounties range from $300 to $5,000. The rewards can go higher at the discretion of a review panel. In its Bye-Bye Blockbuster, the last 300 Blockbuster video film rental stores in the U.S. are closing in the face of unrelenting competition from online digital video, corporate parent company Dish Network has said. About 2,800 people are expected to lose their jobs by early January 2014. The once dominant chain filed for bankruptcy, pummeled by Netflix's DVD by Post and online streaming services. Dish Network, a satellite television provider, will also end Blockbuster's own DVD by Post service in December of this year. About 50 U.S. stores that are operated as independent franchises will remain open. Pebble reboot. Smartwatch gets iOS 7 upgrade and new SDK with apps, but no new hardware. Pebble will get a bevy of software and app updates along with brand new SDK that promises the type of apps we'd hoped would be on the Pebble when it was first announced. The Pebble is getting a software update today for iOS 7 that finally allows it to access all application notifications, much like Android phones already allow. Your Starbucks app, eBay, weather, or whatever you can imagine will ping the Pebble. Until now, the Pebble only allowed text, email notifications, and incoming call information on an iPhone. Speaking more than one language may delay dementia. The latest evidence that speaking more than one language is a very good thing for our brains comes from a study finding dementia develops years later in bilingual people than in people who speak just one language. The study, conducted in India and published Wednesday in the journal Neurology, is not the first to reach this conclusion, but it is the largest and comes with an intriguing new detail. The finding held up even in illiterate people, meaning that the possible effect is not explained by formal education. And today's tidbit of trivia: on this day, the Public Broadcasting Act of 1967 set up public broadcasting in the United States, establishing the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and eventually the Public Broadcasting Service and National Public Radio. The Act charged the CPB with encouraging and facilitating program diversity and expanding and developing non-commercial broadcasting. That wraps it up for today's headlines, and now I'm going to pass it back over to who wants to step up? Who wants to step up?
I do.
I think Brent wants to step up, but he's got to put the boom down on his microphone.
No, actually, the boom is up.
There we go.
That's better, right? Did you hear my I do though?
We did hear it slightly, Brent,
It's just
but
a little quiet. Okay.
All that matters is that you're here now.
Thanks, buddy. I'm going to hit you with some top upgrades and downgrades. There was a ton of downgrades this morning for whatever reason, but we'll get to those later. Top upgrades for the session. We had shares of home away upgraded at two firms this morning. Raymond James upgrading from outperform to a strong buy rating. Also, Maness, Crespi, and Hart upgrading it to neutral. Brewing Capital upgrading shares of American Eagle following those strong quarterly results from hold to buy. BMO Capital upgrading shares of Agrium Alpha Golf Uniform from market form to outperform. And ISI making a call on the construction sector. Parker Hannafin, ticker Papa Hotel, was the only upgrade from ISI this morning, raising that stock from a neutral to a buy. Top downgrades this morning. Garmin downgraded from buy to neutral at Bank of America. HSBC downgrading Barrick Gold from overweight to neutral. Stifel Nicholas downgrading shares of NetApp from buy to hold. Shares of IM Gold, ticker India Alpha Golf, that's IAG, downgraded at, I see at least three firms this morning. Roth Capital downgrading to neutral. Barclays downgrading to underweight, and HSBC downgrading to neutral. Morgan Stanley downgrading 51 jobs at ticker Juliet Oscar Bravo Sandy from equal-weight to an underweight rating. That is the equivalent of a sell. And getting back to those ISI downgrades, Caterpillar was downgraded from buy to neutral. Oshkosh was downgraded from buy to neutral. Cummins was downgraded from buy to neutral. And shares of Deere Delta Echo downgraded from neutral to cautious. Couple other heads up this morning. Remember, we will have jobs data out tomorrow. We will be talking with Forex Live's Adam Button right as that data point is released. Tune in for that. On the earnings front tonight, we will have Groupon and Priceline. I see we got a question on Priceline. Actually, it might be a good time to jump into that, Joel. What do you say? Thoughts on Priceline.com?
Priceline.com here, due to release earnings, the stock monster run here. Wish I could say I've participated in here, but you're kind of getting an extension here of a trading range, and this stock has been pretty much for going back over the last month or so has been trading the lower end of the range has been the 144 to 145 level. You've hit that three times in the last couple weeks. So if you're holding on to this thing, you're trying to play it from the long side here, or if you're playing it in the earnings, I just don't like it under 1044. I know it spent 5-6 days going from 1,000 to basically 1,050 when stocks have momentum, get some momentum on the downside here. Below that 1044 level, you could be back at the point at 1,000. Coming up on the upside here, 3,000 shares have traded in the pre-market, not a whole lot, but I do think it's pretty interesting here for $1,000 stock to have two highs within 39 cents of each other. 1085 was your high, and then 1085.39 was your high on Tuesday here. So yeah, you're 14. More than that, 24 points away from that. That's a resistance level. You also had a couple of the all-time highs here at also in the 1080 handle. No, you did get to 1098.70, but I think ahead of earnings, we'll keep a close eye on that 1085 level. Longer term, we break below that 1044 level, and I would not want to be. 1098.70. You're correct there, Nick. That was the all-time high. I believe that's when I predicted the stock was going to 1,100, and it didn't about face. But you can put face in the estimates that guided up to 12.15. It's certainly reasonable. But if I'm trying to protect any kind of profits in this thing, I'd like to see it hold the 1044 level.
And analysts on Priceline currently looking for Q3 EPS around 16.15, on sales of around 2.22 billion. Those are the numbers you're going to be looking for after the close today when Priceline reports. Talking about those analysts, I am looking over at the handy dandy Benzinga Pro calendar suite, seeing 20 plus analysts with buy ratings on Priceline, no sell ratings, and 5 analyst firms sitting on the sidelines. Analysts certainly bullish on Priceline. I see an average price target right around 1130. We got a street high at 1250. Just a couple of quick stats to hit you with there. Getting back to a question that JH3 had just before the open. We got about 3-4 minutes before the open. JH3 was wondering about some window dressing. What he's referring to is an act by fund managers to sort of clean up their portfolio just ahead of the close. They're gonna investors are gonna get their year end statements showing, they own Netflix during this 40-point rally. They owned Tesla while the stock was up 100%, et cetera, et cetera. So what window dressing refers to is sort of that move towards kind of cleaning up the portfolio there. Joel, do you have any thoughts on window dressing? Do you think it really affects stocks heading into the end of the year?
I think everything is just bullish. I think at this point, window dressing, I mean, people probably don't even have any losers in their portfolio to sell. I mean, the way the market's been
I mean,
this.
it sounds extravagant, but that's actually a very valid point.
I mean, what? I mean, interest rates, being lowered by the ECB today. The trend is moving away from, the tapering here. Markets just has a lot of upside momentum. Of all my years following the market, I've just never have seen it just, continually to grind higher here. So I don't think you're going to see a big negative year-end effect here, and unless you get, some kind of, unless unemployment jumps to like 10% on the next reading. But
I don't think so. I think we'll still steer clear of that.
right, and then, but someone can make a positive scenario out of that. Oh well, unemployment's heading up, so they can't taper, so they're going to ease, so the interest rates are going to go lower. So everything is has a bullish scent to it. So I'm not looking at. Perhaps we will get Rob Friesen here at Bright Trading on next week. He likes to follow pair trading and seasonal patterns, so we'll bring an expert on instead of my jaded market opinion. Just want you mentioned Priceline had earnings today. So does Groupon here. Let's just do a quick technical analysis of Groupon. Got a big boost off its earnings last time and sprinted above the $12 level. Got to 1272, double top 1272, 1276, and now the stock is sold off. Finding major support at 10 if you're trading this off the earnings or shorter term. There's another double top at 1067 and 1069. So those are a couple levels to keep an eye on. We're open for business here in S&P 500 futures. We did make a new all-time high in the pre-market. What else is new? Now we're holding the 1770 level. I would identify 1767.50 as your first support point. That is the former all-time high close. So $2 away here from support. Stocks opening up higher, but not as much as you think you will, with the SPOOs being up at that lofty level. Things are coming in a little bit now. A little surprised that Microsoft did not open above that $30 level or $38 level. Kicking myself here. Those 36 calls that Jake didn't talk me into buying.
Yeah, good job, Jake.
Yeah, Jake.
Hindsight Capital Group is just killing it today, aren't they?
Here we are at back up at 38, ticking there. We'll see if institutions are willing to let anything go. The high in Microsoft from yesterday, 38.22. Folks in the chat room, Nick happened with the price line. Would love to take a look at any issues that are in your portfolio, anything that you're trading. We can take a look at here in early trading. Perhaps give yourself give out an opinion here. Let's see, what else do we got going on? Stocks, Tesla Motors. What's a day without talking about Tesla? We talked about it in the pre-market. Andy Swan, our special guest on today, is perhaps using this sell-off in Tesla as a potential buying opportunity, getting his meetings from social media. So if Andy's still listening, let's give him a couple technical points to keep an eye on. The first technical, 143.60. That's today. That's the current low. You're getting a buck bounce off that. Looking at the pre-market trading here, we are trading below the pre-market lows. The pre-market lows, we were holding in there right at the 143.80 level. We just made another low at 143.60. I want to alert our traders to a one, I believe going back to August here. I can pull one out of my head here. In August, back in August 19th, you had a low at 142.83 here. So if this level here does not hold at the 143.60 level, 142.83 could be a potential support point.
Hey Joel, check out the chart on Geron. That's ticker Golf Echo Romeo November. This is a biopharma biotherapeutic company. I'm gonna wait for you to pull up that chart before I ruin the surprise. Holy cow! Now that's a move. We got the stock up 115%, more than a double this morning.
That's a conservative move.
I am not actually seeing any official news from the company. I do see a article from TheStreet.com's Adam Fierstein saying that the company's Imelstat had 4 complete remissions and 1 partial remission. That is some really good news for Geron. Check out shares of India November Charlie Yankee. That's Insight. That stock is moving lower in response to this report.
Well, first, taking a look at the Geron here, Geron, whatever you want to call it. It's a biotech stock, and we talk about this all the time. You know, it's a lottery ticket. You're putting your faith in these drug trials. You know your risk when you put it on. When you bought this thing yesterday at 360, you know if things go bad, you're going to lose your 360. You know if things go good, you're going to get this kind of response. Just taking a look at this, boy, what if this is correct here? This stock trades 2, 3, 4 million shares a day, and I got almost 7 million going across the tape here. So big monster volume, 7.25 spike, went up to 778 here. So people are taking a look, perhaps using this opportunity. I mean, you are getting a 100% increase in the stock. I guess if you want to take this opportunity to take some profits, might not be a bad idea. Let's see if we can find any longer term charts here. Boy, we're spiking up here. I don't even know if the stock has ever traded at these levels before. Let's see. You can go back to July. Looks like in July, August and July excuse me, August and September. The August 2009 high was 829. We missed that. The September high in 2009 was 751. So we've come up to those vaunted levels here. We are selling off. If you are trading this thing, perhaps take a look at the intraday 50% retracement. You could do the math there. Some people may be taking an opportunity here to take some profits in this stock. And then what you mentioned, INVN?
INCY. That's Insight.
Um, Inside. Okay, so this is on the other end of the equation here. Perhaps the favorable ruling for Geron is negative for Insight here. The stock opened up, ticked up to over the $41 level, got a quick drop to 35.21. Getting a little bit of a bounce here. I will keep an eye on the major support in this issue around the $33 level if this decline continues. You had a low, let's see here. That's a too long a term of a chart here. Let's go a little bit shorter term. The current low in the market, 35.21, coincides with the low you had at August 10th at 35.46. So keep an eye on that 35.21 level, the current low. If it does take that out here, you're coming into the next major support level at 33.01. You had a gap up day where the low was at 32.95, and then you came back down to 33.01. So below that level, there's the major gap to fill in that issue down to 27.23.
I got a couple of headlines here. This is going to be absolutely blasphemous for some out there, but believe it or not, there are some more IPOs happening today other than Twitter.
No.
Exactly. People are throwing their hands up. What? He can't talk about an IPO on Twitter Day? We did just have shares of Mavinair Systems. That's Mike Victor November Romeo open for trade. They opened at 11.25 per share after pricing at $10 per share. Also just had Nordcraft open. That is November Charlie Foxtrot Tango. That IPO just opened at 15.75 per share. That is below the pricing of $16. And these issues were both on the NYSE. However, we're also waiting on a couple of Nasdaq IPOs this morning. We have Stonecastle Financial, that's ticker Bravo Alpha November X-Ray, ticker Banks. Getting clever with the tickers there. Also have LGI Homes, Lima Golf, India Hotel. Let me check the open times on those really quickly. Stonecastle Financial expected to open for quote at 10:35. That's Eastern time, and will open for trade expectedly at 10:50 a.m. And then LGI Homes opening for quote at 10:10 and expected to open for trade at 10:25. Those will be getting about right in the way with the Twitter Open. We're hearing that the Twitter Open will happen between 10:15 and 10:30. I think Joel did a little teaser earlier, said we might hop on the air. I'm not going to guarantee anything, but we could be back in a little bit.
Do you think our listeners would like to listen to us for an hour straight until the Twitter IPO goes, or do you think that'd be a little much for them?
Do we have music to play while they're listening? That might work.
Brent, do you know what we haven't covered yet today?
We covered Tesla, we covered Facebook, we covered Twitter, we covered JC Penney. Who am I forgetting? Herbalife? We didn't cover Herbalife.
What about JH3 stock?
Oh, Son Edison. Son Edison. Round two fight.
Okay, wild range in that thing yesterday, and also just monster volume. Traded 23 million shares yesterday, so big turnover in the float here. That's got to be one of the biggest volume days you've had in that issue in a long time here. Opened up 11.13. We dipped under the $11 level, 10.97. Getting a little reprieve here. Kind of inching way up, JH3. So I don't know if you sold any of those juicy calls that you had. I guess for today's trading, we would like to see it get back up to that 11.75 level. That's another 30 so cents away, but I like to see the trading that happens there at 11.70, 11.75. Maybe look in the book, see if there's any kind of institutional selling there. I know Piper gave it the upgrade a couple days ago. I'm not sure what their price target is. Coming back on the downside here, you did have that one close over $11 at 11.22. Don't have to improve on that 11.22 close, but still would like to see it close over the $11 level. Keep that string going. Taking a look at this issue, see if we can get a weekly perspective here. I mean, coming from oh, that's JC Penney. What the heck? We don't want that chart up there. Coming on a weekly perspective here, the stock is recovering, so keeping an eye on 11.75 on the upside, and then JC Penney there on that one. I guess if you're really trying to hold this thing long term, boy, just coming back. I'm not sure if it was really up over $80. Maybe that was in the heyday of the solars. So November.
Following up, I do see a $17 target from Piper Jaffrey, and I did get all excited yesterday midday when I was reporting on an upgrade on Sun Edison from Ardor Capital. They are a rather boutique-ish firm, but nonetheless did upgrade the stock and raised the target to $14. I was reporting the upgrade and saying, "Oh, where's JH3 when you need him?"
He's has these 11 November calls here, so I believe expiration is coming up on those. I mean, another alternative to actually selling the calls, and Dennis has talked about this on occasions when he's playing the options, is you can actually just sell the equal amount of stock and kind of lock in your profits here. Perhaps do a little bit of scalping around those $11 calls. Moving on to Tesla here. It's continuing its decline through the pre-market low. We did hit 140.50, got a little bit of a bounce here. So the old 2-day move in Tesla is exactly that. It's a 2-day move, and it's a 2-day move to the downside. 140 could be a psychological level where people will be looking to cover some shorts, initiate some longs, but Tesla Motors definitely in the retreat mode. Looking at a couple of the other issues here that we talked about on the show. J.C. Penney giving us some positive news, hoping to make it through the holiday season. Let's take a look at J.C. Penney here on the daily charts. We have gotten a little bit of rally. I believe we got up to 820 in the pre-market trading. So far, regular session, you've hit 832, and if I'm not mistaken, I think that you had a high at 835 yesterday. So there's some potential resistance in J.C. Penney at the 832 to 835 level. Well, if we don't have any more questions coming out of the Options House chat room, we're going to wind down the broadcast for today. We will be back with an exciting recap of the Twitter IPO. Thanks for listening. Be back with you later on.